The ANC says it will discuss both its parliamentary candidates list and the new claims against its Secretary-General, Ace Magashule, during its National Executive Committee meeting. That meeting is currently underway tonight in Irene, near Pretoria. There's been strong criticism from some parts of the ANC and other elements of society to some of the people included on the party's election list. Yesterday, a new book emerged which claimed to have evidence that Magashule was involved in high-level corruption in the Free State. It appears, at the same time, it now appears that Pule Mabe is returning to active duty as his party spokesperson. One of his first duties is to speak to you here now. Pule, good evening.
Evening, and evening to your viewers.
Just a clarification, you're speaking, am I correct, in the capacity as the ANC's national spokesperson. You're back from your period of leave.
Yes. You'd recall that I had asked for my leave to be extended, one, because I had to do with my exams, and later on I had to attend to few other issues that I had already advised the organization required my own attention.
Okay, I mean, you had been accused of sexual harassment. There's no outstanding process from that within the ANC. Is there any other process?
Well, there was an ANC process that ultimately cleared me of all of those. And when the accusations were brought up, I asked to be recused from my duties as the national spokesperson so that I could accord this a fair space to be able to deal with. I dealt with those by February. We had concluded with that. The grievance panel subsequently issued its own report. After that, I was to sit for my final examination on the 6th of March. I then requested to have an extended leave because there were certain recommendations made by the grievance panel, which also required that I attend to. I finished that process, which was more a counseling process. I concluded that process yesterday, the 31st of March, so which made today, the 1st of April, my official day of duty. So,
okay. I mean, one of the reasons I ask is there's been a few spokespeople and acting spokespeople.
Yes.
It got a bit complicated. Yes. Are you the only national spokesperson, or is Dakota Lukwete still an acting spokesperson? Is Izzy Kodwa coming back as a spokesperson?
Well, Dakota is part of the ANC's communications team. He's part of the media relations team of the African National Congress. You will still be able to see his face now and then. You'd also recall that sometimes last year, we had also announced the establishment of an elections communications team. So what we have been doing as part of the Department of Information and Publicity in the African National Congress was to also make sure that we consolidate our own media relations team. We now have a new national communications manager, Comrade Cornelius Monama. We have got Comrade Mhlaba, who's also the head of media relations. So all of that makes part of our own media relations team.
Okay. The meeting that's underway, the NEC meeting is underway. It's a special meeting, in fact, isn't
Yes.
it? Is it to discuss the list? Could the candidates list that was lodged with the Electoral Commission still change as a result of the meeting tonight?
Well, for the benefit of your viewers, the meeting has concluded its business today. It was a special National Executive Committee meeting which needed to attend to very specific issues. One, receive the elections report. You would know that we in the ANC characterize this phase of elections as maihlome. And one of the things that happen during this phase is to intensify voter contact. We are seeing a lot. Our officials are going out there, engaging with communities, together with all members of the National Executive Committee members, as well as various PECs and our regions all over the country, our own branch structures. That's what they are all doing.
Okay, so I appreciate that, but
yes.
But was there a discussion about the list? Could the list change?
Well, I was still trying to make that point. That first you had to receive a report on the elections, and also there were numerous issues that would have been raised on the list. That work has those kind of issues that were raised is we have got an integrity committee in the African National Congress, which the NEC had said that we'll have to then attend to issues that relate to the list in its entirety.
Okay, so the list could still change, or it couldn't?
Well, the list is a product of a thorough engagement. If there are things that relate to changing or not changing of the list, there would be a formal announcement from the Secretary General's office. As matters stand now is that the list, as part of the process, all the names have already been submitted to the IEC as is required by the electoral laws. So the list of the ANC has been published alongside the list of all other parties.
Okay, so it's not going to change?
Well, from where we are sitting now, the list of the ANC has already been submitted.
Okay.
But of course, the issues that would have been raised, that's why it's matters that would be ventilated upon even through that whole process. I mean, if you give the list to the Integrity Committee to look into, you are also trying to make sure that in the immediate, because we can't be focused on the list now. We must be obsessed about campaigning. It must be all hands on deck. What we are supposed to be doing is to make sure that each and every one of our members now is focused on campaigning for the African National Congress so that we could garner the numbers we need to be able to continue with our program to grow South Africa.
Okay, I mean, you know how much criticism there's been around your list, and I realize some of it comes from your opponents, some of it comes from your ideological opponents, even if they're not your political opponents. Some of it just comes from various segments of society, including, for example, members of the ANC elders and others. It would seem that maybe it would have been better to run some of the people on the list through the Integrity Committee before you actually lodged it with the Electoral Commission.
Well, Stephen, the NEC has dealt with all of those issues. It has already outlined a process, I'm sure. When the NEC statement is issued tomorrow, which deals with the outcomes of the special NEC, the Secretary General would be able to reflect on what becomes the way forward.
Is there any last night horse trading that's happening tonight?
No, there's no horse trading.
Okay.
No.
All right, let's talk about the book now. Pule Mabe, the investigative journalist, and I know the NC's released comprehensive statements. Well, the Kota Lehuete did, but I imagine you've seen the statements and we'll stand by them now. The book is called Gangster State. It's particularly around Ace Magashule, your Secretary General. Do you know if he's read the book?
Well, the Secretary General has already commented on those issues. I wouldn't want to venture into that area. He has already clarified that looking at various options, including legal options, and I think that we should allow individuals or him to exercise those rights. I mean, he had already clarified the media today and then said that he is looking at various options, including the legal route. So I'm not in any position to go beyond what he has already said to the media earlier today.
Okay, but the ANC statement released yesterday went much further than that. It said the sub-headline was "Hands off our SG." Fake news. Stratcom was one of the words used, a comment used to basically insult journalists like Pule Mabe, who wrote the book. I mean, it strikes me that in that statement, the ANC went very far in defending Ace Magashule. If you use the phrase fake news as the African National Congress, it implies that you, as the African National Congress, which you represent, believes that the claims are not true. And yet, from what I can see, no one in the African National Congress has read the book.
Well, Stephen, like I'm saying to you, that earlier today, the Secretary General had an opportunity to reflect on his position. And I'm sure that beyond, with what he has said, it now begins to say that let's allow that process, that he said that the options that he's looking at, and then at the right time, I'm sure that we'll be able to come and make a reflection.
Okay. Over the last few weeks, I mean, I don't know how to put this, so let me just say it. It seems that it's just been bad news after bad news after bad news for the ANC. I mean, the timing couldn't be worse. And I realize that you may be quite suspicious about some of the timing, but there's a publication of this book. I mean, earlier today, Sanko in Northwest was sharply critical of the ANC. There was the decision last week by SANRAL, the South African National Roads Agency Limited, to not issue summons for people who haven't paid e-tolls. And then it's immediately sharply criticized by your finance minister, Tito Mboweni. All of this 5 weeks before an election. Are you getting a bit worried?
Well, of course. I mean, all issues that contribute towards public spurt and sometimes contributing towards us not conveying what looks like a coordinated message out to the public has got a serious negative effect on the work that the organization is doing. And of course, one of the calls made today was to try and encourage the entirety of our cadreship to be able to speak in one voice, make sure that we all stay true and loyal to the resolutions of the organization, communicate a message that will be able to inspire hope amongst our people, assure them that post May 8, we will be able to drive forward a program that would contribute towards growing South Africa.
It strikes me that, in a way, it seems that the publication of the list might be partially responsible for this. And you're allowed to say that that's a middle-class issue or a Twitterati issue.
Yeah.
But two of the people who are on the list Badabile Dlamini and Nomvula Mokunyane, they're ministers, they're members of the NEC. Have they been campaigning? I haven't seen them anywhere campaigning for the ANC, and yet they're on the list.
Well, I mean, Comrade Nomvula has been doing work. You would know that even her own department launched the Good Green Deeds, an environmental program out in Umtata. They've been doing quite a lot of work. President Batabile is the president of the Women's League. They've been doing a lot of work galvanizing young women through the Mayanga program, something that we in the NEC today noted with great enthusiasm, because there's been quite a lot of young women who are being mobilized through the Mayanga initiative that the ANC Women's League has been driving. And President Batabile Dlamini, as the president of the Women's League, has been leading and championing that effort.
So reports over the weekend suggesting that certain parts of the ANC were deliberately not campaigning to try and sort of lower what you get. You deny that?
Well, Stephen, I can tell you now that it's all hands on deck. All of us are on the ground. I mean, this past weekend, I myself was out in Putadichaba with the Secretary General. I know that many other comrades were all over in various parts of the country. In KwaZulu-Natal, where the president was, Comrade Zizi, Comrade Mbalola, the Deputy Secretary General was out in the Western Cape, the Treasurer General was out in the Northwest Province, the Deputy President was here in Gauteng. So it's the national chairperson. It's all hands on deck. I'm singling out officials because they have been leading from the front. But all other, I mean, we have got our own social networking platform as NEC members, where almost every day NEC members are able to post the various work and programs that they are engaged on. I can tell you now, it is actually with the Maitlome face, it is actually that exciting moment of the campaign where each and every member of the African National Congress is now making it their duty and their task to make sure that the ANC could garner the numbers they need to be able to take this country forward.
If you ever want a journalist on that WhatsApp group, I'll be very happy to apply.
Well, it's not. But I'm sure you might have seen quite a lot of those pictures. They are posting them, whether it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram, and all of that, because we in the ANC are transparent about the work we are doing on the ground to try and galvanize and unite our people.
Pule Mabe, thank you very much indeed for coming in. Really do appreciate it. Pule Mabe is the national spokesperson of the African National Congress. Stay with us.